Okay, so I just want to make another public health announcement. I think most of my videos are public health announcement because, I think mental health is becoming increasingly more important. Like, people, most people just accept the reality of the reality they're presented, which, no, a lot of times things aren't as they seem to be. Like, you ever heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, or it's what's inside that counts, or looks can be deceiving? Those are all very true, and there are more and more movies coming out about, like, Shrek was about, don't judge people by their looks, don't make assumptions. Like, you look at Shrek and you might think he's just this ogre that the only thing to do is just run away, and you should ignore him. Like, or people at first they tried to kill him, like the torches. They were taking the torches and pitchforks, but no, he's just a normal guy. Shrek was a good guy. Let's see. Oh, there was that Nickelodeon movie. Good Burger, where it's I think that's mostly about not judging people by their cover, because I mean, the Ed was, just he seemed very very stupid. Then you're like, wow, wait. At night there was a scene where he thinks about a lot of stuff, and and sometimes people they act one way, like most of the time, or just when they're out in public, but they act a different way. Like, there's something called masking, and took this course called interpersonal communications. Oh, yeah, the different ways people use masking, or different ways we can communicate. What I really wanted to share with you was your power, or the powers. It's like, I think that's one of the big problems in our society today, where people just they let other people abuse their power, or they stress you out so much that you're not always aware. To be aware, you have to be very relaxed and calm. Um, and let's see. To be relaxed and calm, because one thing I've noticed when I ran outside to watch the sunrise, I felt like I got talked to by a spirit. And I know you most people, when they hear talked to by a spirit, they get this image in their head that's like, oh, some green wavy ghostly thing talked to you, it came up to you. But no, it's like, I'm sure all this arcane language, like used by alchemists and people that from the like ancient world, ancient Egypt and stuff, like all a metaphor. Like the phrase turning lead into gold, what the alchemists were doing, that's just a metaphor for turning an interested mind to a enlightened, inspired mind. So it's about reaching your full human potential. Or I guess they were doing it on some things that aren't human, like maybe some of them actually use lead and gold and copper and iron. And, I think it's mostly about reaching your full human potential. It's just like martial arts, like getting from a white belt to a black belt. It's at first you're uninspired and uneducated, like you don't really know much about, I guess, your body, or all the possibilities, the things you can do with your body to like fight people, to like jump, and how high you can kick and stuff. But no, over time you get better balance, and you're more informed about like how to deal with getting mugged on the street or whatever. Yeah, martial arts is very, very cool thing. Like, I think the foreigners, the Indians, like Hindus, the, I guess, Chinese, or anyone who's from east of, I guess, from east of, I don't know, France, or, I mean, even some of the Europeans, like the Irish, the Scottish, Welsh, Belgian, whatever, uh, Irish, Italian, they have, I mean, some of them, of course, have things to teach you. A lot of people do, but of course, they're in every group. You can't generalize. Like, there's stupid people in that group, and there's smart people in that group. People who are worth listening to. So, don't make stupid generalizations. That's a bad thing. Like, there's no rule of thumb that things aren't black and white, and yeah, black and white thinking's pretty terrible. Um, well, when I got talked to by the spirit, I wanted to say, the spirit told me your vibrational energy, your vibratory state, like how much you vibrate, how happy you are, what your emotions are, is determined not by what you eat and has a lot to do with your digestive system. Like, maybe it's better to eat things that digest quicker first. Like, I mean, I've heard of food combining, and I feel like it's a little better to like eat fruit before vegetables, or and nuts and seeds. They take longer to digest than vegetables. Like, fruit digests really fast. It's, I think, 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what it is. Then I think nuts, then vegetables, then seeds, then vegetables might take like 4 to 6 hours, and nuts like 6 to 8 hours. Seeds 8 to 12 hours, and of course greens, meat, dairy. It's gonna be days. It's, oh god, no one should be eating dairy or meat, or, I mean, greens. Like, I mean, I'm not a nutritionist. I have no certification for being a doctor, but I mean, this is my experience, and like, I live in natural areas, so I am very I know a lot about where food comes from, like a garden, and yeah, I watch a lot of, pay very close attention to what I'm eating, mind-body connection. Yeah, I mean, like, all the foreigners are here to just teach the Americans, the uneducated, I guess, British people, how the world works. Like, what my brother said after he did yoga, you feel amazing. So maybe that's showing that, yoga is, of course, really, really good. And I think yoga, it's like the key to immortality, like a youthful, everlasting body. I mean, it's not gonna make you live to 110, but will it keep you in the body of like a 42-year-old until you die at 98? Maybe, probably. So, yeah, your age is determined by the flexibility of your spine and how long you've been on Earth. I mean, and I've been thinking a lot about how most of reality, like the way your body works and how everything interacts, is determined by a belief system. So, a belief system. So maybe, like, if you believe that one food is really bad for you and destructive, it's gonna do some damage. But and if you believe it's your medicine, and it's gonna get you to wherever you need to be, yeah, it's gonna be beneficial. Like, I feel like it's all, I mean, culture has a thin veneer of familiarity. Remember that. Remember, what you're familiar with is kind of determines how your brain works. That's why I really like Carl Jung, because Carl Jung, he was the first psychoanalyst to come up with the idea of he said the collective unconscious. In yoga, it's called the Akashic Records. So, I mean, yeah, I believe in the Akashic Records. We're all connected. Of course. Like, of course everything's connected. My brother, when I told him about the acupressure point where you're supposed to rub your pinky toe and it makes your nose less congested. He asked, how is your nose connected to your toe? Well, how is your ring finger connected to your heart? I mean, it's all part of the body. Of course, the body is all interconnected. So yeah, the people here who, at least the ones who are like opening up yoga studios and showing us how to do yoga and meditation, things like that, are just here to teach us how to relax or how to be human. Because we're definitely not supposed to eat meat or kill animals. We're not animals, humans, we're just coexisting. Vegans were presented the reality that humans are here to serve as food, clothing, and entertainment for humans, but no, we disregard that and we say, no, reality is all the other species, they're just coexisting with us. They're fellow sentient beings coexisting with us. And plants are here to help us. I love plants. There's so many plants that do so much good for us. There are ones that cure dysentery. There are ones that reduce high cholesterol. Ones that reverse balding or that prevent balding or premature graying. Or there are ones that can treat eczema that you can rub on your skin for bug bites. And I know plants are great. I actually have on my phone an app called Picture This. The plant identification. I think it's helped me so much. It's only $29.99 a month or a year, and it's I love it. It's helped me so much. And this video isn't sponsored by, I don't do sponsors, so it's I really, really Picture This. But I'm sure there are other apps just like it, like NatureGate, but I'm not sure if Picture This, I know, tells you more about the plant. So, yeah. I want to talk about art. That's another one of our powers. Because, the magic's in your hands, if you believe it or not. It's imagine you go through your life without hands. There's a lot of things you couldn't do, all of the sculptures throughout history, the Michelangelo, they made the statue of David. If you didn't have his hands, how do you be able to do that? Or all the authors throughout history who have influenced society and everything, if they couldn't write with their hands, where would they be? I guess opening the fridge or opening doors or drawing, of course, you need your hands for that mostly. And I drew this because all these artificial pictures, just think about this. It's a picture that I made up. It's not really there, but I brought it into existence. I drew the eye raw here. So, these things aren't really there, but you bring them into existence through your energy, through using your energy in your hands. And it tricks the brain because the brain, or at least the subconscious, has a hard time knowing what's real and what's not. So, that's why visualization is so helpful, because I've heard so many stories about people just visualizing their dreams, to become a doctor or whatever they want, and despite the odds, they are able to accomplish their stuff. So yeah, drawing is amazing. Do it more. It can be as simple as the 3 circles for a Mickey Mouse head, or it can be as complicated as the Sistine Chapel, the ceiling. Or you can be in the middle and like draw a Hogwarts or a rabbit or just whatever, a horse, whatever. Just try to. I'll put drawing tutorials in the description. Oh, I want to talk about reading. Of course, is very helpful. Like the reason people write these stories is to teach something. Usually, I mean, some things just don't teach anything. But like this book, I was surprised the library had it. The Lost Symbol. I think it's a required reading or to learn about the Freemasons, because it's heavily about Freemasonry and very, very descriptive and informative about the Washington Memorial, Washington D.C., and talk about astrology and talks about astrology and the pyramids in America in like Washington D.C. Talks about Paris and the tattoos Freemasons are supposed to get, and yeah. Oh, and I wanted to talk about this book. I know it's like a kid's book, but in Vikings, so of course most kids don't read that much about the Vikings, but I think it was very informative. I'm glad I found it. Like studying the old world is another one of our powers. Let's see. We have the power to just, know what's beneficial for us. You know your medicine. I mean, actually, Carl Jung has this good quote. That unless you take the time to make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So, it's just what we call fate. Let's see. He had another quote about the shadow is a problem, for it challenges the ego personality. For no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. The shadow is recognized when we become aware of the dark aspects of our personality. Yeah, it's as real and just present. And the recognition of the shadow is necessary for any kind of self-improvement or personal growth. Yeah, the shadow work. Just pay attention to yourself, because it can show up when you act irrationally. When you do things out of an instinct, like it can show up as harsh judgments of other people, pointing out other people's flaws or insecurities, pretending to not be biased or to have very few and justifying them. It can manifest as dreams, moral urges. There's a bunch of information about shadow work on the internet. Shadow is like your spirit. It's why you do the things you do. Shadow work, it's about reflecting on yourself. It's like, of course, it has these weird names, and people they get so defensive, like they don't know what it is, so they're just, So, again, study the old world. I have this book by a woman. She was one of the lesser known poets, but, I mean, she was so good. She probably outdid a lot of people, and, I mean, Edna St. Vincent was a poet that she entered a poem in a competition. It's called Renaissance, and her like she had no idea why she didn't win because prize was $500, and this one of the judges kept writing to her that yeah, you're definitely gonna win, or he was like encouraging her. And I mean, when she found out she didn't win, like she was like, okay, but. And then when she talked to the people who did win and they found out about her poem, they were like, there's no way a 20-year-old girl wrote this. So, she was obviously very, very good. Like, they said, you should have won the prize. This poem was much better than ours. I think Anna St. Vincent. She lived like 1920s, so I think it's good to see like firsthand accounts of like the past. So yeah, what you're eating definitely has a lot to do with your vibratory frequency, like how happy you are and how successful you are. Like, I mean the force, you know. I'm starting to believe that. I mean, people can control things with their minds. Like, obviously, start slow. Like, follow the 5 pillars of Ikigai. First one, starting small, then harmony and sustainability, then releasing oneself, finding joy in the little things, finally being in the here and now. I mean, I think the more you talk, like when you make sound come out of your mouth, it releases toxins. That's why there's so much in the history where people, they just chant in the morning, like the monks would like get together and they chant things like Om Dar Tom Soha, Om Dar Tom Soha. There are different chants for all the different chakras, for different, you know, colors, different things through them, and again, plants raise awareness. Like, let me show you my plants. Hope you saw. I have some plants growing because they. I mean, on a physical level, they clean the air. So plants, of course, good. Like in feng shui, the reason they say plants are lucky, like certain plants are lucky. It's not anything magical about the plant. It's that plants clean the air, so it makes you think better or whatever. Or it's just nice to look at. Like, I'm thinking a lot about placebo effects because, I mean, I did read a old book about this Taoist method of astral projection, like traveling to other dimensions, and I just remember one thing you were supposed to visualize. You use a green hairbrush, was one of the items, and you just sit it down in wherever you're meditating, and you're supposed to pretend it's a green dragon. When I've always heard the phoenix only appears every 200 years or something like that, so maybe that's why like all these other old things, these otherworldly, these things that seem impossible, like maybe, I don't know, people were just better at them. Another thing about shadow work, I think, when you see people getting angry, like losing face, or when people lose their cool, like that's tells you what their limit is, or what kind of things that don't sell with them, like that don't fit into their worldview. So a lot to think about. Eat wild edibles, dark leafy greens. Just make self affirmations. I think through just talking to yourself, like if you write something down and you start to believe it, yeah, that's one of the power. Just you can write self affirmations and you control your own reality, and yeah, it's all lovely. Everything is awesome. Uh, Bye. Love you.